All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. SQL Dev DB here. And I just wrapped up this same stream in Spanish about a half hour ago. And I told myself, let's just go ahead and roll right into the English version. Just because everything's fresh in my head. I had a chance to really go through everything and discover it in Spanish. And so if you're watching this in English, you're getting the clean sweep. You're getting everything as clean as possible. I was stumbling around a little bit via Azure SQL because it's my first time using the free version. I've had the paid version many years, but this stream is about the free version of Azure SQL, which is, as the name sort of says, 100% free. So here I am, Tuesday morning or Monday morning, I don't remember when, and I see a post on Reddit from Bob Ward, the legend Bob Ward from Microsoft. And it's basically just announcing, another free tier of Azure. And I was like, there's probably just, a couple catches and stuff like that. They've said, free credits before. But he basically said, like, hey, if you're thinking it's not the free version, this is a real free version. And so I read up a little bit more about it, and basically it's really good. It's a great offering. Who should be using this, you may ask? Like, who is this for? In my view, this is best suited for students who want to jump into SQL without having to install anything, without having to download much, or if anything at all. I want you to be able to just jump right in, because I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of the database companies make is forcing users who are brand new to SQL or databases in general, forcing them to install their own components. Installing a database engine is not a SQL analyst or a data analyst or a SQL developer's job. It is a database administrator's job. And for any company to force anyone to install it on their machines in order to be able to even venture into the platform, it's sort of counterintuitive. Every day on Reddit, you see on the SQL subreddit, you see a bunch of people just going, hey, my install failed. Here's the error code. What do I do? And, a lot of the responses I see are sort of semi-sarcastic. Did you read the error log? All that stuff. But these are people who are brand new to databases, and you're telling them to read a log that you've had maybe 5 years of experience to read. And up until I saw that announcement on Tuesday or so, whenever it was, I've been pushing now for years. I've been pushing Live SQL from Oracle. And I don't mean pushing as in like I get paid in any sort of way. There is zero affiliation here between myself and Oracle. In fact, I'm pretty critical of most of what Oracle does, especially the prices of their production software. However, they do two things very well, in my opinion. Number one, they have a great education program called the Dev Gym. If you haven't seen it, it's devgym.oracle.com. Let me put a link right here in the chat. devgym.oracle.com, where 100% free, you can just go in and study. It's like Database 101. It has guided modules. They call it the Dev Gym because they have lots of exercises and workouts and things like that you can do. There's even like, I saw the other day or like a week ago, like a Wordle type program, but it's like a SQL version of it where you have to put like different parts of a statement together, and it's super cool. You can tell a lot of thought has gone into this. And then the second thing is they allow you to explore your own Oracle database with a tool called Live SQL, which is technically part of the Dev Gym. They sort of go hand in hand, but livesql.oracle.com is a fantastic tool, and it's been up for so many years now, but very few people use it. And basically it's an entire Oracle database with sample data already in there, and it's 100% free. There is no installation involved. There's no downloads or anything like that. No credit cards. It's just there. And so for the last couple of years, this is all I've been able to suggest to people. Yeah, look, credit where credit is due. There are a lot of really cool websites. Data Lemur, Learn SQL, W3 Schools, Leak Code. They're fantastic. I do not want to seem like I don't think those sites are good. They are fantastic sites. However, they use whatever data they push to you, and you do not have a choice in what data you use. You cannot create your own objects. You have to use whatever data they've already set up, and it's really good data most of the time. But if you want to use your own custom data, you're out of gas. Except for Live SQL. With Live SQL, you can input your own statements. You can create your own objects. You can create procedures. You can treat it like a real database, and it also comes with some. But this stream is not about Live SQL. The cool thing is, finally, in my best Dwayne The Rock Johnson impression, finally, Azure has come into the free space for students. And don't get me wrong, they've offered sort of like a pseudo free product for a while, like, oh, you get a certain amount of credits if you're a student, or 200 credits or something. No, this is not like that. This is 100% free with, of course, a space cap and with a processing cap. On a monthly basis, it gets reset. So I want to go ahead and show you what this is, because last night, I couldn't wait all week, but I did my best to sort of refrain myself. But last night, I went ahead and set up a couple Azure SQL DBs. And by a couple, I mean, I set one up for recording purposes, and then I deleted it. I recorded it again in Spanish, and then I deleted that and just played around with a couple options. From what their documentation says, you get 10. I have to see if I can clarify some of that, because I thought it was like 10 at a time. It turns out the coupon doesn't actually apply. If you have one already, you can't see the coupon anymore. You can only see the coupon again when you delete that one free one that you have, and that coupon comes back up. So it's definitely not 10 at the same time, unless I'm missing something. And I hope I am. And then I'm not sure what 10 means. Does it mean like I can only drop and recreate it 10 times, and then after that I have to start paying? And so on my fourth one, I said, oh, okay, I'm going to take a step back here and just not create anymore. I'm just going to keep what I have, because I got it to sort of where I want it to be. So this stream is going to be about exploring that. It's not going to be about the install. The install, by the time you see this on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, by the time you see this on YouTube, the install video will be right here, like how to activate it, how to install it. It's free. It's really easy to do. It takes maybe 10 minutes to spool it up, and it's just a weird wizard. You just click through different pages. It's all done online. I did that on my Mac. And in fact, most of the stuff we're going to do is on my Mac today, with the exception of like Power BI and stuff. So, am I talking too much? I'm probably talking too much. Let's just go ahead and take a look at a few things. First, let's go ahead and do a quick tech check. I have a keyboard that I want to show you because it's really cool looking. I'm not a huge fan of it, like how it sounds, how it feels, but I found it visually interesting, and so it'll probably be hanging somewhere on my wall after this video or after this stream, because I'm probably not going to be using it very much. And as you know, probably if you followed this channel, you know that I have way too many keyboards anyway, and I have about 30 something keyboards, 35 now probably, and this would be on the last page. If we were going by fives, this one would probably be on the last page for feeling, like for use, but it's really cool, and I'm gonna have it like displayed somewhere around here. I'm not sure what. I'm still talking a lot, aren't I? Let's take a look at the keyboard. All right. So, Keychron. No, it's not a Keychron. I'm so used to saying Keychron because I have like 14 Keychrons now. This is not a Keychron. It doesn't even start with a K. This is the 8BitDo retro keyboard. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called. I know the brand is 8BitDo. I'm not sure what the keyboard itself is called. It just says retro keyboard here, so I'll call it the 8BitDo retro keyboard. And as the name sort of implies, it's sort of modeled after an NES controller from the 80s. So you can see we have buttons here. You can see we have an A and B button here, and just the overall visual, even like the power right here. I don't know what, I just hit pause. Hopefully that doesn't do anything on my computer, but I just hit the pause key. You can see that there's like a little light and everything. When I turn it on and off, I can change the volume on this, which is pretty cool. But the clickiness is what I wish I could like it more than I do. But like, I don't know what half of this stuff. I should have probably read the documentation before I used it, but I just went ahead and plugged it in and did the unboxing and all that good stuff. All right, mouse is the LoFree touch mouse. I really do like this one quite a lot, and I'll continue to use it for these streams. I have probably like 7 or 8 mice, but this is definitely top 3. And that's it. Oh yeah, let's do a quick typing test just so you can see, like, if you like the clickiness in keyboards, then by all means, fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of it, so let's see what it sounds like with a quick typing test. All right, I'm gonna turn off my face and turn on the keyboard microphone so you can hear it a little bit better. Let's see how it goes. That was a pretty bad score, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of how it sounds. Again, I want to like it, but I can't. I have a specific like sound that I look for and a feeling that I look for, and this is not it. I really like the visual side of the keyboard. Maybe I'll be able to change the switches, and if I change the switches and give them a little bit more pleasant sound for me, then I should be okay. But yeah, can't say it's my favorite. Can't say it's my favorite. So let's just go ahead and start. I want to show you so much. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through a couple things. We're gonna go through how to set it up. No, you know what? The video that I'm gonna launch, and again, it's gonna be in the description below. It was gonna be up here, but I already occupied that space. Basically, I don't want to set it up anymore. I just want to go ahead and use it. Maybe if someone asks something about the setup, I can go back to those screens, but I'm not going to go through that process because I really want to leave it up for the video. The video explains it really well. It goes through every single component, and honestly, it's really easy to do. I'd rather go ahead and just start using it and show you the sort of things that you can do with it, so you don't have to spend any time with that. You can just jump straight in. And again, if you want to watch my video on how to install it, it is in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. I have not uploaded it as of right now, but I will by the time I upload this video on YouTube. So let's take a look. There's plenty to look at here. The first place I'm going to go is to portal.azure.com. This is where, if you are brand new to Azure, this is where you're going to go, and the documentation is right here, right over there in the chat as well. But this is where you're going to go to create your Azure account, to manage all your Azure stuff. As you can see, I have a few resources here. I've had an Azure account, like a paid one, since like 2017. And I have a couple paid components, some storage. I have a resource group, a SQL server, and a paid SQL database as well, and a couple other things, I think somewhere around there. Azure does offer quite a few free tools, but they're usually like, oh, you get X amount of credits. and then it sort of dies. But this is a different offering altogether. This one was, again, Bob Ward was the one that announced this on Reddit, and I'm sure a couple other places, but he posted about it on Reddit on like Monday or Tuesday. And so there's plenty of documentation. In fact, I just put it in the chat and it'll be in the description of this video below. But this is the primary page that you're going to land on. And basically it walks you through exactly how to do the install. I followed this in my installation video. I just went ahead and followed this. I do have a few points to make about it though. Number one, sort of who is this for? Well, this is for, again, the students who are just learning SQL, or if you're just learning SQL Server from another platform, that's fine too. You can be considered students as well, but it really doesn't require anything. It doesn't require an EDU email address like some of the student programs do. All it does is require an Azure account, which, as you can see, it is absolutely free. You can just create an Azure account right now by going to portal.azure.com, and then you can add this as one of your systems. So again, if you don't want to deal with the installation of SQL Server, if you just want to get in and code, if you just want to get in and query stuff, you can do that with Azure SQL DB, even the free component like this one. However, there are 3 things you need to know. Number one, it says here, the monthly limit includes 100,000 vCore seconds of processing, or compute as they call it. And also a maximum size of 32 gigabytes per database. Now, that might sound small, but I'm about to show you that that's not small at all. And you are going to be more than okay with 32 gigs as a student or as someone who's looking to learn. If you're looking to run a business on this, technically, you're sort of still okay to at least try if it's low activity or if it has like peak times. Why? Because most of the time, if you want to run like a free SQL server, what most people will usually recommend is SQL Server Express. And again, this is for people who have a business, production data. They usually recommend SQL Express. I know there's college professors out there that recommend SQL Express for students. That is so wrong. If you're a college professor and you recommend it, first of all, thank you for what you do. You're fantastic. And I care about you deeply, which is why I'm trying to tell you, stop recommending SQL Server Express Edition to your students. Your students should be using SQL Server Developer Edition, which is a full-blown SQL Server. It has all the features, but it's 100% free for development purposes. They are not going to run a business on SQL Server, and therefore it is 100% okay for them to download SQL Server Developer Edition, which has all the features, all the conveniences of enterprise, but it's 100% free. SQL Server Express is meant for production workload, but free. It has limited capacity. It has limited resources. It doesn't have things like the SQL Server agent for automation, which is, again, okay for production and free, but it's not okay for students who are learning. So, college professors, I love you. Stop recommending SQL Server Express. Thanks very much. Okay, so 32 gigabytes per database. That's more than SQL Server Express. Before I went on my tirade, the reason I mentioned SQL Server Express is because it has a 10 gigabyte cap. So this is more than 3 times the cap limit of SQL Server Express, and it's also in the cloud. No installs, no very minimal configuration, which again I show in my video, but it allows you to just go right in and code. Maybe 5-10 minutes is all you need to get started. And what's the issue? Again, as I mentioned, on Reddit, you always see these posts. Oh, hey, I tried to install SQL Server and I ran across this thing. What's the browser do? There's no error log. And a lot of the answers are just annoyingly sarcastic from a lot of people. Of like, oh, you know, read the manual. These are students. These are college students. Give them a break. And I get it. We're all tired of answering the same thing. But man, they shouldn't have to do this in the first place. This is a DBA's job. A DBA's job is to install SQL Server, not a student who's learning in college just trying to do their assignment. And so I'm hoping that platforms like this allow students and empower students to just jump right in, do their work, use their own data sets, because you can use your own data sets here in Azure SQL DB. All you have to do is upload the data, run the create scripts, run the insert scripts. And by the way, there will be some create scripts and insert scripts. Am I pointing correctly? The description right there. There's going to be lots of them. Well, 3. A small one, a medium one, a large one. That's basically all you're going to get, but I have plenty more. The small one is going to probably be municipalities of Puerto Rico and maybe some small transactions from some other database. The medium one is going to be the Brent Ozar salary survey data, which I did about like 4 streams about in my last couple streams. Huge thanks to Brent Ozar there for providing us with that data. And then the large one, is going to be about 50,000 records of sim racing telemetry data that I collect myself using simracingtelemetry.com's application. And it's just like one session. So you're going to get to choose from any of my sessions where I drive a specific car around a specific track, and it gives you all the telemetry about it. All right. Am I done like explaining stuff? Okay. Let's jump right into the documentation. We're going to go right here where all the documentation is. Here it shows you the monthly free limits include 100,000 vCore seconds of compute. That's, again, processing power and processing workloads. And as I'm going to show you, I just spent 3 hours on stream in addition to the time I spent last night setting all this up. And I probably still have quite a bit of compute left. So if you're a student or if you're just exploring SQL, you don't really have to worry about this. And not only that, but it resets every month. You get 100,000 again every single month. Not only that, but if you deplete the 100,000 somehow, let me know how you did that. If you deplete the 100,000, please let me know how you did it. I'm sure that, I can find easy ways like running an infinite while loop or something. But I mean, for normal workloads, you shouldn't be depleting it. It still resets every single month. And the offer is available for up to 10 databases per Azure subscription. Now, I need to go get clarification from Bob Ward about this, or from the Azure SQL team, because I've already created 4. And the reason was to just set up different things, play around with the configurations. But the issue is that you cannot create more than 1 database at the same time that are in the free tier. So I thought it was up to 10 databases at the same time. Turns out that that's not the case. As soon as I created one and I tried to create another one again, the coupon was gone. So I had to delete it just to get the coupon to show up again for my other tutorial, because I did the tutorials in both English and in Spanish. So I spent 2 there, and then I spent another two more configuring things because I was a bit nervous about one particular feature, and I was able to get it to work. So just be on the lookout for that. Don't just go like dropping the database and then recreating it. You have a limit, and I want to say it's 10 for the life of your subscription. So please be careful with that. Now, when you hit capacity every month, it says you have 2 options. You can either allow the database to shut itself off, and it does that by default. Like, it's going to shut off. It's not going to be accessible once you're done. And the second option is you can keep it online, but start paying. You do not want this option. I promise you, don't. I have a story about how I excitedly loaded about 100, excitedly loaded just a bunch of New York City airport weather information at JFK and LaGuardia. I was super excited. This was back in like 2017. Super excited to load it up. I loaded it all. It took like, I want to say like 30 minutes to load, maybe an hour. And I was so excited to play around with the data. And I get an alert in my email going, hey, great job on that data load. You owe us $150, please, for that data load and then the subsequent storage for it. And I said, oh no, I'm going to have to pay $150. Let me get rid of this stuff. So I dropped the table that I had just loaded. And Microsoft was like, wonderful job on that drop. Great stuff. You still owe us $150. And so I was left paying $150 and with no data to show for it. So I do not want you in that position. Do not keep it online if you don't have the funds, or if you're just a student. it just, unless you have a valid reason to keep it online, don't. Is that well explained? And by the way, I know that you can like call Microsoft and be like, hey, I messed up, but they probably only give you one free of those. And I want to hold on to that one. I want to hold on to that get out of jail free card. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use it on $150. I'll use it on like a $200,000, mistake or something like that. All right. So again, it auto pauses everything. You can see that right here in the option. There's some prerequisites, including your Azure account that you have to have. And then it shows you how to create the database. And we're just going to walk through how to access it once you've created it. Again, I already recorded a video on how to create it. I'm not going to do that again. What I'm going to do is just get in here and start using it for educational purposes. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go to portal.azure.com, which you can see right here. This is my Azure portal. You can see all of the resources I have here, including SQL Dev DBA free. SQL Dev DBA free is a resource that I have that I just created again last night, and you are able to use this resource as your Azure SQL database. So I'm going to go ahead and go into SQL Dev DBA free. And here you can see all sorts of options, including where it is. You can see that I have 90,000 vCore seconds remaining. And again, that was after the whole setup, after all the activity I did in the last 3 hours when I recorded this stream in Spanish. I still have 90,000 vCore seconds. So in a given day, let's say I'll use 10,000 per day, and I get 100,000 records. That would be about 10 days of 6 hours of 4 to 6 hours of work. And I was just running standard select statements and stuff like that. So I'm going to monitor this. Again, this is brand new, so I'm just going to monitor this throughout the month and see where I land. Now, it auto shuts off after like an hour, I think, of inactivity. So it's not like it's going to remain online all the time. My overage billing is disabled, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I get to monitor it. So the first thing I see here with my monitor is that I've used 28 megabytes. Now, normally you'd wonder, well, where did that 28 megabytes come from? And the reality is I actually allowed Azure SQL, while I was creating the database, I asked for sample data from, AdventureWorks? It used to be Northwind Traders, but now it's AdventureWorks. It asks you, hey, do you want to go ahead and create some sample data? And I said yes. The first times I didn't, and I actually recommended in my install video, like, I can't recommend that you do this just because I don't know enough about it. But then I got curious and I just dropped my database and recreated it with sample data. And that's all it takes up, 28 megabytes out of the allotted 32 gigs. So I still have 31.9 gigs available for me to use. So that's pretty great. That's pretty great because it only takes up a little bit. And I'm hoping, I'm going to test out the data sources that I give you, the insert statements that I give you, to make sure that it's not too much. But I don't see it being, I don't see it occupying lots of space because there's plenty of data here in the sample database. But with Azure SQL, you can go ahead and insert your own. That's why I have those links in the description, so you can get those files. All right, and then you can see my activity over the last, let's say, like 24 hours is right here. This is from my stream right here, just checking it out and streaming. And then this is from the install, which was last night. So let's get working. All I have to do, and notice, I'm on Safari right now. Just putting that out there. This is an Azure SQL DB. It's usually synonymous with just Microsoft and being able to use Windows only. I'm on Safari right now. So what are we going to do? We're going to hop into this database by clicking the query editor. Then I'm just going to continue as myself. And we're good to go. I'm going to close that up to give us a little bit more room. We're good to go. This is sort of like a mini management studio where you can just go in. I like to think of this as like a super light management studio. And it allows you to see all the tables. It allows you to see any views and any stored procedures here on the left. This is the Object Explorer, right? As you all know of it. So I can see all of the objects. Why? Because I chose to load the AdventureWorks LT, or probably Lite, sample data. So I'm good to go. I can just start writing queries. So let's write a quick one. Let's do select top 100 star from customer. And there we go. We have all of our customer data, well, at least the first 100 records of it. So that's pretty cool. Now, you can still export the data as a JSON, CSV, as a XML. You can open CoPilot. I haven't played around with that, nor do I want to just yet, but you can go ahead and use that as well. Ooh, yeah. Fantastic. Great job with that band, Seribot. I love you, Seribot. Shout out to Seribot. If you're a streamer and you like, or you don't like spammers, Seribot's got you covered. Seribot will jump in and ban it, and it's completely free. Highly recommend it. Okay, so we ran select top 100 star from the customer. We have all of the customer data here. Now, here is where you're sort of at a crossroads. Okay, do you want to do a couple things? Do you want to, number one, just explore the data? That's absolutely fine. You can do that. Just run select statements. Keep them small if you can. Don't just select star. Try to select top something at least, so you don't. You're probably not going to care after about 50 records anyway. Then number two, which I'm probably going to do at some point, is you can do an ERD. You can make an ERD out of this data. You can check the column types, check the columns, check the data types, and create an ERD. I actually have a video, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be right up there, of how to sort of reverse engineer an ERD using SQL queries. But the reality is you're going to be able to do that right here because you'll have access to all of the data types and all of the columns and all of the objects, as you can see. So I would recommend, just as a general exercise, create an ERD about this database. It's already here. You may as well do it. All right, and then I would also recommend two more things, I guess. Maybe load your own data, create another schema, not just DBO or something, or just keep it in the DBO schema if you want. That's fine too. But add some more data. Go to Kaggle, download a CSV with data sets. Ask ChatGPT to convert it into insert statements, or do it yourself in Excel. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it in Excel. Load it, because I don't know if you can actually load data to Azure SQL. I'm gonna have to play around with that to see. I'm not sure you can actually load data from like a CSV directly. You might only be able to do it with insert statements. But maybe we can play around with that for a second when we use SQL Server Management Studio. Because the three things I'm gonna do today are, number one, review the data here in just the Azure space, the Azure IDE, Azure SQL IDE. Then I'm going to review it in SQL Server Management Studio, because you can still use SQL Server Management Studio. You can still use Azure Data Studio, which, by the way, as of the end of February, I think, is gone. No more Azure Data Studio, which I am sad about. Because I used to be able to use it for like Jupyter notebooks and documentation. In fact, I did it on a stream. Oh, if you're watching this on YouTube, that stream, it was called like SQL and Chill or something, is going to be there, right up there. But basically, it allows you to create documentation and sort of like procedural steps, and also embed code that is connected and allows you to get results right there in the documentation. It's super cool. Someone suggested Data Grip for that, so I might be exploring that, but mostly I've switched my documentation to go to Microsoft Loop, so I'll see how Data Grip works. But it might be another app to learn, and really, like, I'm exhausted with all the different apps. So yeah, anyway, and then you can also just ask ChatGPT, and this is where people like to get a little defensive and go, well, why are you using ChatGPT to learn stuff? You should learn it on your own. Yeah, that's cool, no problem. What I asked ChatGPT about is, can you can you give me ways to learn? Can you give me ways to practice? Because it's really good at giving you interview questions. In fact, I have several videos on how to use ChatGPT to give you interview questions. I use ChatGPT for the ERD video that I linked. So ChatGPT for interview questions, I do it with all my data sets. I'll download the data set from Kaggle or from wherever the other source is, and then I'll say, hey, ChatGPT, I have this data source. Here are the columns. Give me some interview questions for a junior, mid, or senior level analyst for X industry. And it does a really good job at that. It also just creates databases, quote unquote, creates databases out of thin air and will give you the queries to those databases. And I use that method to reverse engineer an ERD, only having access to select statements. So highly recommend ChatGPT for that. In fact, we're going to start jumping in there right now. So first thing I'm going to do is just open up a new tab and go to Bing. I'm not even using ChatGPT for this one. I'm using Bing Chat. Bing Chat. Don't hate until, you've used it and it messes up. If it messes up, feel free to hate. I have a paid ChatGPT subscription. I can use Bing Chat for this because it's pretty useful. So let's give it a shot. We're gonna say something like, I have access to the, what is it, AdventureWorks? Is it AdventureWorks? Yeah. AdventureWorks database. AdventureWorks, I'll say AdventureWorks sample database in SQL Server. Can you please give me 20 interview questions that I can use to practice SQL? Here's something interesting. I'm not telling it the different tables that are there. I'm not telling it the columns. I'm just going to tell it, hey, here's the database. It's going to do the research on its own about what the database contains. And it's going to give me the questions. And then I'm going to say something like, I only want the questions, not the answers. Because I don't want it to explain to me how to do it. I just want the question as if it was an interview style. Here's where you can add modifiers, such as the industry that you work in. Oh, my keyboard camera's gone. That's really weird. Let me see if I can turn it on again. Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Where can I go here? I don't know. Do I have like a be right back screen? Let me see. I do have a be right back screen. All right, let me see if I can adjust this. Okay, is it back? Yeah, it's back. Man, hopefully it wasn't gone for like the tech check part of this. I want to say it wasn't because I was looking at it while I was doing that. That's really weird that it's gone. Anyway, let's go back over here. All right, so as you can see, my prompt says, I have access to the AdventureWorks sample database in SQL Server. Can you please give me 20 interview questions that I can use to practice SQL? I only want the questions, not the answers. Here's where you can add some modifiers, such as I'm interviewing for a senior level or a mid-level, or I'm interviewing for a company that sells outdoor gear, or I'm interviewing for the accounting department or the finance department or the marketing team. And it will add some modifiers. It'll add some really cool modifiers for marketing. During the Spanish stream, someone asked, why would you want customers without orders? And I told them, well, the marketing team usually wants to know people who have not made a purchase, but they do have a customer record, which means what? That they have created an account with us, but they haven't purchased anything. So maybe they want to know certain trends about those people so that they can market to them, right? Send them emails. What sort of products have they browsed? That sort of thing. Maybe they have carts and they want to sort of give them discounts on their carts, anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And here are 20 interview questions that it tells me, that it gives me so I can practice some SQL. So first thing I'm going to do is paste the prompt right here in chat. For anyone who wants to do this, you can feel free to, and add some modifiers. If you're watching this on YouTube, please let me know what sort of modifiers are really interesting and maybe challenging, and I might tackle them in certain streams, in future streams. Drop a comment if you so desire, but I really am interested in different ways that y'all will use this and modify it for your advantage, because that's really what I want to make sure is that you can practice as much as you want. So all right, let's copy all these. Well, I already have the prompt copied, so let me copy the prompt and let me put it somewhere safe. Actually, it's right here. I'm good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, which I think I can do right here, and then we'll head over to our sort of online editor here. And again, this is all on my Mac. I am not doing anything on SQL Server or on Windows right now. All right, so I have all my questions. Let's go ahead and copy like the first 5. Let's go ahead and copy the first 5, and then we'll tackle them down here. All right, so the first question says, write a query to retrieve the names of all the employees who have worked with the company for more than 5 years. I don't think this is it hallucinating. maybe the good one, like the bigger one, has the employee data, unless I'm missing it. But this is definitely ChatGPT hallucinating a bit, because maybe I should have told it the LT version, but there's no employee records. So unfortunately, I can't do this first one. Wah, wah. That's not great. So number 2, how would you find the top 5 products by sales amount? Okay, this we can do. So again, this is for students. If you are a entry or mid or senior level person and you're just like, oh, well, this is too easy, add the modifier and say, hey, I need senior level questions. In fact, I can do that for you right now. I need senior level questions, please. You know what? It's probably because I didn't ask it, please. Okay, so here, write a query to find the products with the highest and lowest sales in each category. That's more or less okay. How would you implement a recursive query? That's intermediate already, right? Recursive CTEs and recursive queries, those are a bit more intermediate, not necessarily junior. Write a query to receive the rolling totals. And someone actually asked me about partition by. A user in my Spanish stream asked me to demonstrate a partition by, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's a good thing that it just reminded me right here. How do you identify and delete duplicate rows from a large table? That's a good one too. Write a query to find the top 10 customers by total order value and include the most recent order date. That's a intermediate. It's not very senior. You can ask it like, these aren't senior enough, and it'll keep modifying. So let's go back here and just answer the questions that we do have, just because they're going to be easy to work with. Okay, so let's go. How would you find the top 5 products by sales amount? Of course, we're going to start with the product table. Are we? No, we're going to start with the sales table. Why? Because the sales tables are the ones that actually have the sales amount of those products, right? But you could start with the products table and go to all the sales. I think the product data is right here in the sales order detail. It should have a product ID, order quantity, unit price, but I don't see the total. I just see the unit price. Oh, line total. There it is. Line total is the unit price times the quantity. That's the line total, right? So let's see if we can start with sales order detail, because that contains all the information we need. However, if the question was something more like find all the products that have no sales, then you would definitely start with the products, because that gives you all of the products regardless of whether or not they had a sale, and you want to be able to display that information. So you can technically go about this query 2 ways. Start with the products and go over to the sales. But in this case, because it only cares about the top 5 by sales, I know I'm going to go look at the sales order first, and then I'll link back to the product to find the like product description and stuff. All right, so let's get started with the sales. So we will select the top 10 star from sales order detail. There it is. And does Control Enter work here? Nah, it doesn't. I wonder if there's like a keyboard shortcut for this. Control E? Nope, definitely not Control E. That doesn't make me like keep running execute or run, whatever that is. Maybe I'll do some research and find out. Okay, so here's all the sales orders. What I want to do again is go to product ID, and then I'm going to go to the line total and get the sum of the line total for all the product IDs. So to do that, I'm first going to isolate. Let's do the top 10 product ID and do a sum of the line total for each product ID as sum of line total. And hopefully that'll work. I just have to add this to the group by. So I'll say group by product ID. Ooh, did I not paste correctly? Yeah, I'm on my Mac, so I need to paste correctly. Okay, there we go. So as you can see here, it groups by product ID and it gets a sum of the total line or total line amount basically. But I want to order this by this sum descending. And now you can see that product ID 969 has the largest total at 37,191. 783 is right behind it, 976, etc. But this isn't super informative. All it's giving me is the product IDs. But I'm good with this because now I have it. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, and please don't judge me for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and add a CTE here, and I'm gonna say product sale. I'm gonna name this one product sales, and then I'll open it up like that, and it's gonna give me all the product sales. If I just highlight this, I'll get all the products and their sales. Then I'm gonna say select top 10 star from this CTE product sales. Oh, I need to go ahead and remove the top 10 from here, don't I? Select top 10 star from CTE product sales. Let me just make sure that works. No, it did not. Oh, I forgot my as. There we go. That works now. Bowner Soup says, good morning, Bowner Soup. I hope you are doing well. We are just playing around with Azure SQL DB, which is downloadable. Downloadable, is that a word? Right here, or it is accessible here with all the documentation. Bowner Soup says, do you not like using CTEs? I love using CTEs, but someone posted on Reddit about their discovery with CTEs, and I sort of wanted to go ahead and let them know that there are sort of some caveats, and in doing so I linked a couple videos from Eric Darling regarding CTEs and sort of like how to write them properly, everything you know about them, sort of stuff. And I came to the realization that while I'm using them, it may not be in the most efficient form. Oh, there we go. That's messed up. It may not be in the most efficient form, and I'm overusing them. Maybe I'm overusing them. So Boundership says, I feel like I use them a lot in Oracle, maybe because I can't write a view or a temp table. Okay, let's stop right there. All of this stuff that I'm talking about in Oracle, and I think even in Postgres. In Oracle I knew, but I didn't know about it in Postgres until I saw Eric's video. They manifest there, or what's the word I'm looking for? They materialize in Oracle. So it's very different. In Oracle, CTEs materialize and they're sort of in memory, and that's way more efficient. In SQL Server, they never materialize. They are rerun every single time you reference them, they do latch on to whatever indexes are on the underlying table, and that's good. But in Oracle, it's a whole different beast because they actually materialize. In Oracle, they are fantastic. In SQL Server, they're still, in my opinion, fantastic. But Eric's video explains how, you know, people who are overusing them or using them to compensate for bad formatting or bad code isn't the right way to use them. They do have their place, of course. They exist, so they have their place. But a lot of the ways that I'm using them is not necessarily the best or most efficient way. So I don't get to use like they're really efficient. It's more like I'm lazy. So hope that helps. The videos are actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull them up because they're such good videos. If I go to youtube.com/@EricDarlingData and I just search for CTE, the first two videos that pop up when you look at CTE, or when you search for CTE, both of them are really, really good. So I highly recommend both of them. I think I commented something like, I've never been so happy to be made fun of or poke fun at than by watching one of these videos, because it was really good and it's very humbling. It's a very humbling video for you folks who think CTEs are, you know, the best way to write something. They're really good, but are they the best way to write queries? Are they the most efficient? This video sort of proves they won't. And Eric's one of the people who I can't really question, because he's one of the people that says, okay, well, if you want to prove me wrong, feel free to send me execution plans that prove me wrong. And I'll gladly sort of make another video about how I'm wrong. But when he shows it with execution plans, so you can see, or in Oracle land explain plans, so you can see exactly why. But you can disregard that messaging for Oracle because they're fantastic in Oracle. I'm sure they have their caveats, but when I used them, they were super duper efficient. So yeah. All right. So again, I have a CTE of product sales, and then I'm going to select the top 10, and I'm going to order by sum of line total descending. And again, I can probably do this without the CTE, maybe a subquery, maybe not even a subquery, but this is just easier for me to read, and I'm going to be lazy because this is not production. This is just tutorials. So when you get a CTE question in an interview, nobody's going to go, like, your answer can't be, well, I saw on this video that it was actually not very efficient to use, and they're just going to be like, super, is everyone else done with this interview? Because I sure am. So, you know, it's best for if you already have, you know, a job and you're sort of just looking for more efficient ways, then I highly recommend Eric's video. I highly recommend all his videos. I have like 5 copies of his book, which is also fantastic. And I absolutely love watching his stuff. I wouldn't recommend it for a student to use that sort of reasoning for an interview, because they're probably not going to be super impressed with your work. But shout out to Eric if you're ever around, because man, super good quality stuff that he has. Okay, so here we are. We have the top 10, ordering by sum of line total descending. That doesn't look right, does it? Did I actually query this? Did I actually run this query? Oh no, there we go. That looks right. And now, why did I put this in the CTE? Because now I'll get to left join it out to products. So I'm going to join to products, and then I'm going to go ahead and just give this an alias as, let's call it P, and oh no, PS for product sales. And this one's going to be as P for product, and it's going to be on P dot product ID. Why is product ID not showing up? Am I writing something wrong? If you see me writing something wrong, let me know. I don't think I'm. Let me go investigate this product. No, it's product ID. It's just being silly. Product ID. I think it still thinks it's a table. Equals PS dot product ID. Okay, so what do I want from the products table? I'm gonna go ahead and say PS dot product ID just so I can make sure I'm pulling the right columns. PS dot product ID and also PS dot sum of line total, right? I want to go ahead and grab both of these columns. Let me go ahead and just put this on the next line so it's a little better organized. And now I have all of those, but I also want key dot name as product name. Why? Because I want to know what the product is that's performing so well. Just returning an ID isn't really going to do much for us. So as we can see, the Touring 1000, I think this is a road bike because I used to ride road bikes, and I see like the model name and then the number of centimeters. So this is a pretty big one. Touring 1000 in blue, 60 centimeters. Mountain 200 in black, 42 centimeters, that sort of thing. So we can see 37,191, 37,178, and so if I want to change it to top 5, which is what the question was, I just do a top 5 here, and it shows me the top 5 products that are sold. You can also add modifiers to this, like top 5 for each category. You can do something like top 5 for particular dates. All those are 100% valid, and you can use them. But this is what our question was. So next question. Write a query to get a list of all customers along with their orders. Oof. I mean, we can do this, and that's fine. But if we're saying all customers, that means we want all the customers with and without orders. And I sort of did a similar question, which was give me a list of all customers who don't have orders, I think, when I did the Spanish version of this. So we're going to go ahead and do this. First, we're actually going to take an ad break because Twitch is pinging me about ads. So we're going to answer 2 more questions after the ad, and then we are going to go ahead and move on to SQL Server Management Studio, and then furthermore into Power BI. So if you are subbed, you will be able to play GeoGuessr with me during the ad. If you are not, or if you just get picked for the ad, then I will be back in about 3 minutes. So I will see you soon. All right. Let's play some GeoGuessr. Or let's be horrible at some GeoGuessr. Is that better? Is there a better way to say that? And of course, GeoGuessr is like, no, I'm not going to load. There we go. Oh, GeoGuessr World League is on. That's pretty cool. I'm not going to do that, but it's cool. It's a really good show to see, or program to watch when you are feeling good about yourself and you want to be knocked down a couple pegs. Watch the GeoGuessr World League just to see how terrible you are at GeoGuessr, like me. Where are we? Ooh. Does it say Magnolia? Yeah, it says Magnolia. Those vehicles are like Southeast Asia type vehicles, aren't they? Like a moped with a cart attached to it. Are they driving on the left or on the right? I don't know. That's a moped, so I'm not sure. Maybe I can tell with this one. Nah, man, I don't know. Southeast Asia style, Cambodia. I'm not like, Rainbow or something where I can be like, oh yeah, the lamppost. Man, he is just an amazing GeoGuessr player. But I'm gonna go with Cambodia just because I'm getting Cambodia vibes. Oh, and I got Philippine. Yeah, definitely not great. Beaches. Let's go to beaches. I like beaches, so maybe I'll actually get this. No, I won't. Oh, at least we can tell the language. Greater Chennai Police. So India. I don't know what coast Chennai is on. Oh, there it is. Southeast. And D5 Marina. But it has to be like Marina Police. Somewhere around here. Look at that. 204 meters. We did something right today, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a good place to just end the stream on a high note. Because it's all downhill from here. Bridges. We're driving on the right. Is this Japan? No. I just said we're driving on the right, and I said, is this Japan? It's definitely not. Japan's on the left. Dubai? Does that say Dubai there? If your car had OnStar, talking about the AC would change it. Yes, it would. I used to have an OnStar car. I had a Cadillac CTS-V, and that had OnStar. It was fantastic until I realized I had to pay for it. When when they decided, hey, you haven't paid for OnStar, so we're deactivating it. And then I was like, oh, okay, how much is it? And it's like $100 or something like that a year, if I remember. I still paid for it because I like the remote start. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going with my gut here with Dubai, so let me find it. It's not Djibouti. Where the heck? Isn't it here? Am I that lost? No, over here. This rhino's horn. That's where it is. Okay, Dubai. I hope. I don't know. It was Dubai. 15 kilometers. All right. We are back from ads. Let me again end on this high note here, because if I continue, it'll probably be a disaster knowing me. So let's head on back to Azure SQL and let's answer 2 more questions. Yeah, 2 more questions here, and then we'll answer some more in Management Studio once we connect it. Okay, write a query to get a list of all the customers along with their orders. Let's do that. Let's do like a sort of separator here. All the customers and their orders, right? So I'm going to start with customers first. So I'll say select top 100 star from customer. Let me go ahead and put this on the next line like this. Okay. And then I'll say where. No where clause needed. I'll just go ahead and left join out to customer orders. So I can do to sales order header. And why header? Because the sales order, I know we used sales order detail before, but the header is where the customer ID lives. So if you look here, you can see the customer ID for the header. That means it's an order header. It's sort of like a 1 record per order, and that's it. It has all the top line information, and then the detail has the additional information like line items and stuff like that. So that is my recommendation, is always to use the header if you can, and the detail only when you need to. So here we go. We have we're left joining to this table, and we're going to say on. Let's give these 2 an alias as C, as SOH, and we will say on C.customer. Let's do customer ID. The IntelliSense isn't like super right now. SOH.customer ID. And now I'm going to say the C.customer ID, because I only want some columns from customer. Customer ID, C.first name, and C.last name. Maybe their email. C.email address, I think it is. Let's just go ahead and verify that. Okay, good. Now I'm going to go ahead and distinct this. So distinct. So, yeah, technically, no matter how many records I have, I'll always get a unique value for customer. So what am I going to do? I'm going to probably add a group by to this as well, because I want to know their total orders. I think it says list of all the customers along with their orders. No, it doesn't say anything about that. It doesn't say about anything about like their total orders. So I'm going to go ahead and just get, for each customer, you'll get how many lines? Well, you'll get as many lines as they have customer orders. So if one customer has 5 orders, you're going to get 5 lines for that customer. If one customer has 1 order, you're going to get one line for that customer. If they have no orders, you're still going to get a line for the customer with just null values in the orders area. So here I'm going to add SOH.SO number. Is it sales order number? What is the column here? I thought it was, oh yeah, sales order number. Sales order number. And then let's do SOH dot total. I think there's a total due. Yeah, total due. And now we can see here that if I just run this, I can see each customer. If I order by customer ID, C.customer ID, I can see each customer and all of their orders. I think from initial research that all of these customers only have one order each, which is a little bit disappointing. I thought they were at least going to give us like customers with multiple orders, but I did not see that. So it's pretty easy to check. All you have to do is just group by instead of having this. So this is a full listing, right? If I went ahead and just did this instead, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, and these sales order numbers, instead of actually listing it out, I'm just going to count distinct sales order number. I'm going to say as unique orders, and then I'm going to give a sum of their total due as order sum or something like that. But then that means that I have to actually group by everything else that I'm not aggregating, right? So I'm going to group by this. And I think, I'm fairly certain, oh, what happened? Yeah, I'm fairly certain that there was only one per customer. Unique order 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Keep going, keep going. How do I filter out the zeros? Well, all I have to do is add a having this unique orders value more than 0. So I'm going to say only customers with at least one order. So this is actually wrong here. It would be greater than or equal to 1, or just greater than 0, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select this, select that, and then run. And we can see here that we have customers with at least one order. Again, I don't think I came across any customers that had more than one, which is a little bit disappointing. But the cool thing is this is your database. If you want to add a sales order number for a particular customer, you can do that now because you can edit this data. It's super cool. It's super cool because this is your database. You can do whatever you want. So if you want to test it out, go ahead and add some orders for people. Sounds like a fun experiment. All right. So let's see. Make sure my mic is okay. Yeah, my mic looks like it's okay. All right. So for the next question, how can you find this total sales amount for each person? Let's go ahead and just move over to SQL Server Management Studio, because this is great for, again, students. There's no downloads. There are no installations. As you can see, I was just able to pop in and start writing queries. But if you happen to have the ability to use an application, if you're on Mac, maybe I just started, again, I heard about DataGrip. You can use DataGrip. You can use dbeaver, which has a community edition for free. You can technically still use Azure Data Studio on Mac, although not for long. And you can use Visual Studio Code on Mac. So those are two that I can those are some I can recommend for Mac. On PC, we can use SQL Server Management Studio, which is, fight me on this, hands down the best SQL Server tool. There's Toad. I've used Toad. There's I'm sure many others. dbeaver for Windows. SQL Server has a lot of attention from the team. They're still excited about it, and they still push updates on a monthly basis to SQL Server Management Studio. Not only that, but I use it with tools like Redgate SQL Prompt and Redgate SQL Search, which enhance it even more. So I pay out of my pocket for Redgate SQL Prompt because it's such a fantastic tool, and I highly recommend it unless you're a student and you don't have the funds for it. If you can get your company to pay for it, hey, definitely push for it because it's fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to my Windows PC and start using SSMS. First, let's go ahead and copy a few of these. I'm going to copy that. Or actually, should I copy the 20 and then just start there? Maybe we'll end up with some stuff. All right, I'm going to hop over. And of course, there we are. We can totally see everything, right? Wrong. I don't know why it decided to not work, but let's see if we can fix that really quick. Okay, here, pop that open. Windows app, and back over here. There we go. We did it. We did it. We're so good at what we do. Good thing this is free. All right, so as you can see, I have my Azure SQL database already connected here. To connect, it's fairly easy. All you have to do is set up a brand new connection. So I'm gonna try to connect to a database engine. You'll enter the database server, and then you'll just enter your credentials. And you can use like Azure Entra ID with two-factor, which I do, and you can hop right in. Now here you can see both of my databases. I have a regular database that I actually paid for, and I also have a free database that, again, I installed last night, and I don't pay for that one. That one is 100% free. But I'm using Management Studio, which is super cool, right? Because normally Management Studio can only use for stuff that is either paid or that you've installed on your local machine. Here, all you have to do is use Management Studio, but your database and all the processing is actually in the cloud. You just connect to it. So we're going to open up here, and we're just going to go to tables, and we can see that we can explore all the tables the same way. We can explore the views. We can explore stored procedures. All that is available here. It just happens to have sample data already built in. So I'm going to go to just a new query for this database. And I'm just going to paste all those questions again. And I think we left off right here with number 4. So let's just keep going. I like using Management Studio a lot more than I like using the online editor. But again, in a pinch, you can use it with your iPad. You can use it with your Mac. You can use it with any browser, really, as long as you have a browser that supports it. So that's really, really good. All right. So let's go ahead and just answer this question. How can you find the total sales amount for each salesperson? Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually pin my Object Explorer, which is not something I usually do, but I do want to be able to see the tables right here on the left. So I will go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to say select top 100 star from, and as you can see, there's no salesperson table. We addressed that at the beginning, right? With the first question that was sort of like out of bounds. There were no salesperson. However, if you look here in the sales order detail, is it in sales order detail? No, it's in sales order header. If you look in sales order header, you should be able to see, did I get that right? Man, there was like an employee number, online order, purchase order, or is it tied to the customer? It might be tied to the customer. Let's find out. Customer, columns, salesperson. Okay, so for each salesperson, can we go get the orders? I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see. The salesperson is tied to the customer, and then the customer has an order, so maybe the salesperson has orders. Unless the customer is the salesperson. I don't know. We'll find out. Let's make sure that there's no additional data here in customer. Or sorry, in sales order header. Let's make sure that there is nothing about the customer, or sorry, the salesperson. Nope, it looks like that's a no. Let's make sure that sales order detail also doesn't have a salesperson. Nope, it does not. So we're just going to try going from customer to sales order and see if we get any data there. So let's start right here with customer. Select star from customer. And now we have our customers here. I like being in Management Studio because I have all my keyboard shortcuts here and I barely have to use the mouse. And now I'm just going to left join, or actually I'm just going to grab the sales reps. So here I'm just going to say top 100 salesperson. And there we go. Now I have all the salespeople. There we are. And now I'm going to left join this out to sales orders. On c.customer ID equals soh.customer ID. Ooh, opened the wrong thing. Okay, here, and then I'm gonna see if I can maybe get a count of distinct sales order numbers or sales order IDs technically as a unique order count. Hopefully I can. I don't know. But to be able to use the count, I have to add a group by. So we're just going to add a group by here at the bottom. And then I'm just going to format this. There we go. So let's see. All right, it looks like JAE had 14 orders, Linda had 9, and SHU had 9 as well. The rest of them, they don't have any orders. So how will you find, how can you find the total sales amount? So this is the amount, not the number of orders. So really all we have to do is add a sum of SOH dot total due as unique order, no, just order amount. Total order amount. And there we go. So if I want to quantify this in like a visual place, and I have SQL Server Management Studio, and technically you can do this in the Azure IDE. I'm not sure what to call that thing, but you can do this over there too. But if I want to quantify some stuff, basically I can quantify the number of orders using like replicate. So if I say replicate and then open this, a vertical bar, and then by the number of sales orders. So as unique order count bar, then I'll be able to see the number of sales orders represented in sort of bar form, which is pretty cool because it have sort of like a visual representation of things. And then if I want to do the same thing for the money, of course I can do the same thing for the money. I just use the replicate function for a vertical bar, or let's say, you know what, I'm going to represent it with dollars. So I'm going to do that instead. And then for that, I'm just going to use the sum of the total due as total order amount bar. Now, what you'll see here is that this is just a lot, and you can keep going as much as you want, but it's just going to be a lot. I mean, we're talking about 572,000 in orders. So what if I divide it by 10,000? If I divide that number by 10,000, then I will be able to see it in a much smaller scale. But because I'm dividing everything by 10,000, then you're going to see everything at that same scale. It's going to be proportional, same way it was proportional without me dividing it. So that's a pretty cool trick. If you're just trying to visualize stuff pretty quickly, that's all you have to do. Now, something interesting here is that some of these are actually just null. You can technically coalesce this with 0, just so it's clean. So these will say 0 when the values are null, and that's pretty cool. So here I can also coalesce this one so that it shows just a 0 value. I'm going to go ahead and copy and put this right here. And now, of course, makes me look dumb. Count distinct of sales order number. No, it's sum of total due. Oh, the whole coalesce is what I want to do. The whole coalesce right here. There we go. So now it's going to show sort of cleaner values, and it's still going to show your dollar signs. If you want to change your numbers, like the total order count, to pound signs or number signs instead, you can do that just to get a good representation of where they are. All right, so that was number 4. We'll do number 5, and then we'll head over to Power BI. If anyone has any questions, I am happy to answer those as well. Again, I'm just sort of doing this to share some of the stuff that you can do with your new free Azure SQL database. I can't believe I'm saying that. I never thought Azure SQL was going to be like absolutely free. I always thought it was going to be like limited credits and stuff like that. And, you know, I was going to have to push live SQL forever until the end of time. But I'm so happy, and a huge thanks to the team for putting this together for us, because I get to use it too. I get to use it for these streams. All right. Next question. Write a query to retrieve the names of all the products that have never been sold. This is a good one. Oh, wasn't I like just talking about this, or was it like customers without orders? But yeah, names of products that have never been sold. This is not just for marketing, but who else needs this? Operations, product development might need this. Of like, wait, this product has never been sold? Oh no, there might be something wrong with this product. Even like the finance division and accounting, they may need to know, because they might need to lower the price, offer discounts, marketing can also push it a little bit more. Like every department could stand to gain from a query like this. So this is a great interview question in my opinion. All right, so I'm going to start with from products. Why? Because the product will exist in the product table regardless of whether or not it's ever been in a sale. That's the important part about these queries here, is to get to know which table to start with in your from, because your from really dictates everything else. If the record does not exist in your from, with the exception of like something like a union or a full outer join, your from is what's going to dictate what you do or what results you get. All right, so I'm going to select top 100 star from the product table, and there we are. We can see all of the different products. Now, again, I want to know which ones have not been sold. So I am going to, there's two ways to do this. I'm going to do the first one first, and then the second one second, obviously. So when I join to sales order detail, because that's where I need to join in the detail, that's where the product lives, not in the header. I'm going to join on p.productid equals sod.productid. And so here in the top, I'm going to select p.productid and also p.name. And I'm going to select the distinct values because I want to know one record per product. I'm going to do that really quick, and we can see all of the different products. But now, let me go ahead and format this so I can keep adding stuff. Now I want to know how many, or actually I don't want to know with count how many. Why? Because if you look, the product table, or sorry, sales order detail table actually has order quantity in each line item. So I'm going to say the sum of order quantity as quantity sold. And I'll go ahead and use that again for my replicate. Replicate. Let's do a pound sign, comma, the sum of quantity sold as quantity, that's not how you spell quantity, quantity sold bar. It's not going to let us do this. Why? Because we don't have a group by. We need to group on product ID and name. So let's do group by, product ID and name. And here we go. Now we can see the quantity sold for each product. If I wanted to make this look sort of snazzy, or at least have some sort of order, I would add an order by the sum of quantity sold descending. And this looks like more like a bar chart now. There we go. So now we can see sort of a bar chart. But what is it asking me? It's not asking me names of all the products that have been sold and how many. It's asking me for products that have never been sold. So what do? I would simply use either a having here where it's 0, or I can also use a where clause that says where SOD dot product ID is null, meaning I did not get a join. And now I can see at least 100. Let's push this out to 10,000. All of these products here have never been sold. And it's possible that I can also give them a little bit about those products, like p.list price. P.list price, maybe the product number, the color. I'd be able to give them additional information for, again, the marketing team, the finance team, the operations team, who product development, who all want to know. So you can see here that a lot of the products sold are huge in price. Well, for road bikes, there isn't really that much. As a fellow road bike enthusiast, some handlebars have not sold. We can also push this into like product categories and say, hey, these product categories as well. Like, we can keep adding information about these, because chances are they don't just want to know anything about the products themselves. they want to know as much as they can about those products to see if they can make a correlation. And this is where your data analyst side will come through and say, okay, well, can I find some trends about these products that will help them figure out why the products are not selling? So this is where I would do that for sure. So yeah, okay. This is a good starting point though for those type of queries. You can feel free to continue that. All right, I think I am done with SSMS as well. Let's just quickly jump into Power BI and see if we can answer one of two of these questions in sort of visualization form. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up Power BI and let's show how to connect to this Azure SQL DB, because that's one of the coolest things. Even with Oracle Live SQL, unfortunately, I can't connect to it from Power BI, but you can connect to Azure SQL DBs from Power BI, which means Power BI is free. So is Azure SQL DB. You can run a full reporting sort of suite 100% for free. Obviously, you can't share it with people inside your organization, but if you publish to web, which you can go ahead and publish and do that for free. In fact, I have a video coming out very soon. Probably by the time you see this in YouTube, you'll probably already have, I'll probably have already uploaded the video. So I'm just going to point up there and hope like a magic banner comes out with the product or with the video itself. So it's basically about how to create a portfolio using Power BI and a website called NoviPro. No affiliation again with NoviPro. Someone just recommended it on Reddit a long time ago. I'd been curious, and I show you in that video exactly how to set up a portfolio that managers like myself can interact with. So it's pretty great. All right, I'm gonna pull up a blank report, and here it's gonna ask me where do I want to get my data from. I'm gonna say I want to import data from SQL Server. And let me stop right there because I did this in my Spanish stream and I want to make sure you understand it as well. See how this looks? And I'm like, oh no, there's a special one for Azure SQL. So okay, I went to get data, then I went to more and I just searched for Azure. And when I went to Azure SQL, it's the same thing. It's just SQL Server. So how do I connect to my server? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and grab. Nope, I don't want to grab that. I'm gonna go to my other screen in Safari, and I'm going to. I think I can get rid of this. This is okay. I don't need this query. I think. Was it letting me navigate anything? Doesn't seem to be. Let me just see if I can go to portal.azure.com again. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go to my SQL databases. I'm going to go to this one right here. And I'm just going to copy the server name, which I know already, but I just want to show you how to copy it. Paste it here. Notice we're not copying the database name. We're copying the server name. The server name, SQL Dev DBA Dev 1. And then the database I want, that one I am going to copy. Let me take you over here. That one I am going to copy, but I'll just use SQL Server to do it. Go to properties, and then just copy the name of the database right here. Paste it right here. And here's where I would suggest import. Why? Because import will download the data once when you refresh it, and it'll house it right here in this Power BI zip file or PBIX file. So it's going to house it right here using SQL Server analysis services. If you select direct query, it's always going to ping the Azure SQL DB every single time it refreshes. And you don't want that because that's a lot of compute. Unless you have something that gets updated every 5 seconds or something like that, that needs to be refreshed more than once a day, or even more than 8 times a day. Because even Power BI Pro gives you 8 times a day refreshes without having to do Power BI Premium or something. So highly recommend import. I don't need any advanced options. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to let me see my data right here. If I wanted, so normally I would recommend views. And I actually have a video on why I recommend views instead of direct access to tables from Power BI. It's going to be right up there. But basically I recommend just using views or stored procedures to limit the data access for Power BI, add filters without having to redeploy Power BI reports, that sort of thing. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and use the customers. I'll say customer, customer address, and let's do product, just cuz. So I selected those 3 tables, and I'm going to go ahead and load them. And click load. And now it's going to reach out to the Azure SQL DB. There it created a connection. It might ping you for your credentials, by the way. I already connected to mine, so that's why it saved them. But it might ping you for the credentials, and you'll just have to do like the multi-factor authentication thing. But here they are. They're available now. I can see them in my data model. I can make the connections I need to connect. Let's start by just showing all the products in a data grid. So I'm going to grab the product ID. I'm going to add the name. I don't want the count, so I'm just going to right click and say don't summarize. I'm going to add the name of the product. And then as you can see here, it has like a category ID as well. You can add things like the color. This is count of product ID. I'm going to click don't summarize. You can add the color. You can add the list price as I had before in my queries. And you can do stuff like adding the product number here. If you want the product number, that sort of thing. So if you want to see the products by color, for example, you can do a quick bar chart that says here, I want the colors and I want how many unique product IDs there are. So I'm going to count distinct product IDs. So here it shows you that there's lots of black products, then some just no color products. And I want to know like what they are, what those values are without having to hover over them. So I'm just going to enable data labels as well. So when I enable data labels, it'll show me the actual quantities without me having to hover, which is good. So yeah, I mean, this just shows you that you can use Azure SQL DB as your data source for Power BI. And again, all of this is free, 100% free. So if your excuse so far is I don't have any SQL Server to connect to Power BI, but I want to play around with both SQL Server and Power BI, excuse that no longer, sir or madam. You don't have to use that as a reason to not start developing Power BI reports and SQL Server. You can take now your projects from start to finish, from a data set that you found in Kaggle up into SQL Server, load it into SQL Server, then load that from SQL Server into Power BI using the method that we just went through right now, and just develop some cool Power BI reports. If you develop anything that you want to share with me, I'd be happy to give you any sort of pointers about it. I'm not like fantastic at visualizations. I have plenty of stuff on my portfolios. So here's my Power BI demo site where you can see all of my demos. SQLDevDBA.com as well is somewhere you can see those. I have plenty of videos on how to make those reports as well, but I'll let the people who focus on the visual side of things, or just specifically on the Power BI things, give you the best resources for that. In my description, you'll always see my favorite Power BI channels, my favorite SQL Server channels. This channel is for folks who are sort of new to the platforms, new to data projects, and they're just looking to build end-to-end stuff. Of course, if you're just focused on SQL and you're just focused on Power BI, and you find something you like in this channel, of course, please feel free to stick around. I'm never going to say you're only welcome here if you're working end-to-end. It's not like that. I just want to let the experts in SQL do their SQL stuff. Let the experts in Power BI do their SQL stuff, and I'll always be recommending those. This is more for a casual environment, and it's just, again, me sharing what I know. So hopefully you found this informative. Again, I'm going to leave this Power BI report here and just save it because there's not really much I want to add to it. Azure SQL DB, English, because I did one in Spanish, and today's date, which is 0209. All right, so I think we're good. I didn't get, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I think we're good here. Basically, Azure SQL is free. It's free now. get in there. Again, I recorded a video. By the time you see this in YouTube, it'll be live, and you can just go to that video, walk through how to install it, load your own data, or use the sample database. I highly recommend just loading the sample database anyway, so that then you can continue and just use that data set if you want for other stuff. But go ahead and just keep it going. Start now. If you're watching this right now, it means you're already a couple, what is it, an hour and a half deep into this. Just start it right now. Set a goal and just get the database going, run 5 queries, and then another session, you can sit down and use Power BI for it. So anyway, I hope you found this very informative, or at least a little informative. Let me know if you did or not. Let me know of any additional tricks that you want to see. Let me know if you want me to take on any particular challenges like the one we spoke about with the ERD. That's probably something I'm going to do anyway. So if you're looking for something like that, it's probably going to be coming soon. HyperGesture says hello there. I just walked through everything. And great to see you, because you reminded me that I never covered row number. So let me quickly cover row number before we depart, because I was getting ready to wrap up here, but I am happy to cover row number for you. Okay, so let's see. Usually I'll use row number for a couple different things. Finding additional orders or additional records for something. HyperGesture says, thanks, man. Anytime. I'm always happy to help, especially when something as weird as row number is, or partition by, right? So the partitioning, I'll use it for 2 purposes. Number 1, for row number, which basically says, hey, here's for the same criteria, I found multiple records. That's really all row number is. It can be used for. It can be used for many things, but the most common use is, hey, for this particular product, here are all the orders, and here is the ranking of some sort. You'll usually see the word rank because there's a whole ranking function that works more or less the same way as row number. Ranking is really cool because it lets you sort of rank things by whatever order you want. I use row number just because I use it universally for both duplicate detection and identification, and also for ranking. I use it for ranking too. And I also use it just to detect duplicates and tell SQL Server which one to delete. So basically, if I have 5 records for the same exact customer ID and there's only supposed to be 1, I'm going to go ahead and spool up a row number function. And that row number function is going to identify number 1. And it's also going to identify records 2, 3, 4, and 5 and let me see them right there, so that all I have to do is delete anything that is not equal to 1. I can just delete those. So that's an easy function. Let me see what I can come up with as far as sales orders and customers. What can I do here? If I wanted to identify all of the products in a particular category, for example, that's what I could do. So let me see if I can come up with that. I'm going to go ahead and right click on product and select top 1000. And so here we have all the products and several pieces of information about each one. I'm just going to sort of isolate the product ID, the name, and the category ID, and just leave them right here. There's 295 products. HyperGesture says, like the relation between products and categories. Yeah, for sure. Or you're saying you like it. Okay. So here, there's the product category ID, there's the name, and there's the product ID. I don't know why I read that from right to left, but there you go. So let me format this really quick. And I'm just out of curiosity, I'm just going to go ahead and left join this out to the product category table. I'll say this is P, and product category will be PC. We'll say that's going to be on product ID equals PC. No, it's not on product ID. It's on product category ID, right? P.category ID equals PC.category ID. It's hydrate time. Okay. So now that we have those, I'm going to fix this alias here because that's a little messed up. So there we go, P. Great. Now I have the product ID, I have the name, I have the product category ID, and I forgot to add the pc.name as the product category name. Product category name. There we go. All right. So here's the product categories. If we order by the product category as well, order by product category ID, let's go ahead and just move these guys up here like that. Product ID, I also want it to be like third. So we're doing category and then the product. So we have like an established hierarchy sort of thing. And there we go. So hopefully this works. The name looks really weird. Am I ordering on the right thing? No, I joined to product, not category. Oh my God. That's why the P came up and not PC. Okay, so if I joined correctly, I should now have, for each product category, I should have all the products in it. So there we are. Here's mountain bikes, and you can see all of the different mountain bikes that there are. Then there's road bikes. You can see all the road bikes that there are. So if I wanted to use row number for something, and I would caution you to like, as Brent Ozar says, like I would caution you to like find a cool tool and try to use it for everything. Like I found a new hammer, I'm gonna try it on everything. Row number should be the solution to a problem you already have. Don't go looking for problems to solve with row number. But I think based on your question earlier, HyperGesture was with me in my Spanish stream. Thanks very much for showing up to both. I really, really appreciate you. And I'm thinking that you have a particular solution that you need for row number. So I'm going to start using the row number function, and you can use any sort of documentation on you want. I usually just Google t-SQL row number. I think I got this one, but if not, then I'm just going to reach out there. So I'm going to say row number. And what is my goal here? My goal is for every product category to identify all the different products in that category and sort of have a running count, I guess you could say. So I'm going to say row number, and then I'm going to say over partition by p.product category, and then I will order by product ID as product category RN. Sometimes you'll see like RN product category. And so here is a good example of row number. For mountain bikes, you can see that this product is product 1, product 2, product 3, and you can see it all the way down to when it switches. When it switches categories, that's when the number resets to 1. But, what if I wanted to sort of identify these by the highest cost products and rank them that way instead? So let's go ahead and just rewrite our row number, and we'll say row number over partition by p.product category ID. No, p.product category. Let me just copy this. There we go. p.product category ID. Order by p. Oh, it's because I misspelled partition. There it is, partition. Order by, here's where it changes, list price descending, because this one actually implies ascending here, even though I didn't write it, as all order bys do. But here, I'm going to order by the list price descending as product category price RN. And for this to make any sense, what do I have to do? I have to add the list price. So I will add p.listPrice. Why? Because I'm ordering by product category ID, and you'll see that these two order numbers are sort of going to tie out now, This one becomes more or less pretty useless because it's returning them in the order that they are displayed. So this product category RN is really not super useful anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and quit this one or comment it out. And what you'll see is this goes by most expensive to cheapest within the category. It just so happens, and it looked a little bit weird, but it just so happens that the most expensive products have the highest or the lowest IDs. Maybe if I switch this guy to be descending, maybe they'll actually conflict and show you what it's supposed to look like. So here, there we go. Okay, so if I just say, hey, what was the last one to be entered? This is going to be product category by last entered. And you can see that the last one entered was product ID 774, which has the highest product ID. It's the last one in the list, right? Because the IDs are just incremental. But if we want to sort it by price, then we have this one. So this is probably the easiest way to use it. And as you can see, there's even sort of mixed stuff around here. Some of these are a little bit mixed around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 10, all those. So this one is sorted by when it was added or the latest product IDs, and this one is sorted by the price. So you can have two different sortings and still return the data, right? Because that's the thing, is like a lot of people say, well, you could just use group by to isolate duplicates, because I use row number for duplicates a lot. And a lot of people say, well, you could just use group by. And I'm like, yeah, I can see how many there are, but I can't actually see the records that are duplicated. Like if you want to expand and actually see the duplicate records and maybe find out which ones are truly duplicates and which ones are not, you can still see those duplicate records and having them marked as duplicate by displaying the row number. So a practical case for me and when I use it is if I'm delivering a list of, let's say, customers, and I'm delivering a list of customers by the products that they purchased. What I usually do is tack on a row number at the end and go, hey, this is record number 1 for this customer. This is record number 2, record number 3, record number 4, so that if the team that I delivered this to just wants a simple list of customers and that's it, and they don't want to know the extent of all the products that they bought, all they have to do in Excel is what? Well, let me show you. I'm going to go ahead and export this right here to Excel. I have a handy dandy tool from Redgate that allows me to just export them really quick. So here they are not. I think it's still sort of waiting. There they are. Okay, so here's my data set in Excel. I'm going to add, I'm going to just format this as a table. How do I do that? I'm going to go home, format as table, and then here. And now we formatted them as a table. But what if I just want to see a distinct list of categories? Well, I just pick number 1. And I have 1 record per category, and that's it. Or not just 1 record, but the first record by the most expensive product for each category. So if all I want to see is the most expensive product by category, I just select the row number 1 for the category pricing. And that's it. If I want to search for the same thing, but for the latest products to be added, or the first product to be added, is it the first product to be added? I think so. It's this right here. Maybe it's the latest product to be added per category, that sort of thing. Like, what are the newest products per category? There we go. So I provide row numbers for the teams that request the data, and I also use row number for duplicate isolation, for duplicate identification or isolation. Because something cool about row numbers, HyperGesture says, yeah, that helped a lot. Great. One more thing about it that you can use is if you are looking to isolate the first ones in your SQL query as well, it's kind of weird. Like you can't do that in just a where clause. So there's other platforms that have something called qualify. And when you say qualify, then you can just say qualify based on the row number. But here we can't just say where this is greater than 1. See, window functions can only appear in the select and order by clause. So how do we use this? Well, here's where I would either use a temp table or a CTE. I can say, or just a subquery if you want to, with CTE, product categories, product category detail, as, open this up. I don't need the order by anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and comment it out. Then I can say select star from the CTE, and I say star because I can just go boop, and I now have all of my columns. So let me select that, make sure I'm good. But now, surprise, I get to treat this product category as a column that I can put a where clause on, is greater than 1. And so now I'm going to select everything that is not the first record by price. So no, everything except the highest price for each category is what I'm selecting here. So if I want to delete all of the products for each category, those are the product IDs that I need to delete. If I want to delete, if someone goes, we need a table, push all the products in and then delete all the ones that have that are not the top selling product in their category. Technically, there's other ways you could build that table in the first place, but let's say you have that, you would be able to just select all these product IDs and delete them because none of them are the top. If you look, this one starts at 2, which means 1 is not in here, and this one also starts at 2, and it's not either. So hopefully that helped you out. That was a good exercise. It's been I use it all the time, but I haven't had to write it from scratch and sort of explain the philosophy behind it in a while. So I appreciate your question, HyperGesture. Thank you for that. Okay, so again, I'm gonna head out to, I think, Epcot. I'm not sure. Maybe Hollywood Studios. Depends which one is not as packed. I have never ridden Ratatouille, so maybe we can do that, but Epcot's probably packed. So yeah, it's very interesting going to Disney these days. HyperGesture says, I wish I was as fluent as you in query. Thank you so much. It was helpful. This is just because I do this every day, and I think the best way to learn is with the intent to share with others. So try to think of it as, hey, I need to teach other people about this HyperGesture, and just sort of get that responsibility and that sense of obligation of having to learn as much as you can about it. And again, you're talking to someone who, I'm not trying to glorify myself, but this isn't something that I just knew overnight. I've been working with SQL Server since 2011. And so it's just been my daily thing since 2011. And I just try to share all the experiences I have with all of you. Don't be hard on yourself, just practice. And now, because of what I explained here, because Azure SQL is free, now you don't have an excuse. Go and spool up your database, like right now. It's 100% free. You don't have to install anything. Just go. You can even enable the sample data option. By the time anyone sees this on YouTube, my video about how to do so will already be up. But hey, I get 2 buttons on my Stream Deck. I have right here, I have 2 buttons. One for Live SQL from Oracle, which is, again, no installs, no downloads. It's just data that's there, and I have plenty of videos on how to use it. And also Azure SQL DB. Now I added a button for it, which means I can promote them both. I don't get any money for it. The satisfaction of knowing that you guys have data that, or environments that you can now play around in on your own, and you don't have to like depend on yourselves to install SQL Server or something like that, or the frustration that comes along with that, that's worth it for me. I don't want their money. I don't want Microsoft or Oracle's money for these things. I want you to be able to explore them without having to worry about installs or worry about money. So hope you found this useful. I'm going to head out to Disney, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to Bowner Soup. Thank you for being here. Thank you for HyperGesture. Thank you for being here as well. I think that's all that was in chat. Lurkers, I love you. by no means do I ever expect you to chat. If you're watching this and you're a lurker, keep lurking. Keep lurking. I'm happy to have you here. I'm glad you enjoy my content enough to just have it on the side. I appreciate you for being here. I am never, ever going to call anyone out except to appreciate them. So thank you so much, all lurkers as well. Love you. You guys are great. HyperGesture says, thank you too. It is my pleasure. Anytime I can help, feel free to reach out. My socials, right there. My cameras are backwards, so I have to be careful where I point. There's my socials. Feel free to reach out on my socials. On YouTube, I have plenty of videos on how to install SQL Server, how to access it, all that stuff. HyperGesture asks, are you streaming daily? That's the only caveat with this channel is usually it's only on weekends. I wish I had the time to stream daily, but I have a day job that pays for this stream. So I have to be careful with my scheduling. So I'm usually not on during the weekdays, usually Saturdays or Sundays, although Saturdays lately have been taken up by creating content for YouTube, like focus content. So I just get it out the door and get it in your hands. But usually Sundays, at least Sundays I'm here, sometimes Saturdays. I'll try to find some like half-hour pockets, but just know that those pockets are going to be me probably my keyboard and its sounds, because I have a special microphone right there for my keyboard. So it's just going to be me and my keyboard sounds and probably no questions, because questions are where I'm so excited to talk. Like right now, I'm so excited to talk that I just take up, half an hour to answer a question. So I'm trying to save you from me, basically. So if I do stream daily, if I do start streaming during the week, it'll probably be like a silent chat stream, which I've had some of those before. Anyway, I'm babbling and I gotta go. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope you have a great week. See you later. Bye. See you next weekend, says HyperGesture. Absolutely. Absolutely. You will see me next weekend. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye.